everyone. Welcome to Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. I am your host, the Conn Man. And with me this afternoon, I have with me a very special guest. He goes by the name of Kevin Rudolph. What's going on, my brother?
How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing rather well. Folks, I've been blessed to have a lot of people from all over the country come on my show. And it's a blessing, but I never forget where I came from. I never will. And that's kind of the reason why I wanted my man Kevin to come on as well. Folks, before I let Kevin do his thing, I saw Kevin on a sports podcast with a good friend of ours by the name of Damar Langford. And you guys put on a great show. And I watched you guys, and I wanted you to have on my show. I wanted you on my show at then. But anyway, Kev, what I like to do is I like to have my guests talk about their journey, talk about their grind. Can you give the viewers a little bit of something about your beginning and how it all started, and let the viewers know what's going on?
By saying all that, meaning my grind, as in from childhood up until through high school to
Yeah,
present.
yeah, let's go.
Man, that might be two shows put together. I'll try to shorten it.
Okay.
I actually grew up when I first was. Somebody posted the other day too. It was one of my high school friends back with the Johnny Papa days, back in the
Okay.
South End. I lived on Russell Street. I lived at 63 Russell, I believe. It was about a stone throw away from the wall, Monty's Park, and that's when I first came back when I can remember. And I had our team lived upstairs from us. I'll never forget that, the Almeidas. It was their mom lived there. We lived on the first floor. They lived on the second floor until we moved out of there. We went to Satellite. Satellite was fun. My first broken bone in Satellite. From there, we moved over to the West End, OG Park on Spruce Street. My dad used to own that house on Spruce and Sycamore. Loved that house. Went to Parker School. Um, Man, we were like nomads. We moved all over the place. From there, we moved across the street, and then actually, my family stood with Damar's family for a little while on Chestnut Street, on Chestnut and Mill, right across the street from Holy Cross, Holy Name, the school over there. We used to play basketball in that little parking lot over there on a 6-foot jammer. We loved it. Whole bunch of us from the West End, South End, everywhere. Oh man, from there we moved to Ashley Boulevard. I went to Namandin for a little while until I switched over to Keith. We moved over to Arnold Street. No, actually, we moved to Jovette Street in the South End, and then we moved to Arnold Street. And then we moved to Potter. I think from there is when we moved to Potter. I could be missing a slaughter too, but we moved a lot when I was younger. We wasn't we didn't have it made like some of my other people did. Like we were kind of poor. I tell you what, man, it was somewhat of a struggle at times. But my mother always made do, though, man. And no matter what it was, she always made do. She was one of the first that I seen who could make freaking water out of wine, boy. I mean, wine out of water, boy. It was no problem. And then football hit, and that was a whole nother ball game, man. Football was like a godsend. It probably kept me out of a lot of trouble, man. I mean, I still got into some trouble towards the end, but it kept me out of a lot of trouble, man. Kept me focused somewhat. So sports are always a good thing, man. They still are today, man. They keep you focused. Get the right people in your corner. It's good, you know. And that was my. And from graduating from high school was great. I went into the field that I'm still working at till this very day, working with adults with disabilities. And over the years, I was blessed to have twins. I have an older daughter who's going to be 25 in January. My oldest son just turned 21 in November, and the twins will actually be 15 on Monday, and they're now in the high school. So I bought a house in 2000, just weeks before the pandemic. I'm talking weeks, 2 weeks exactly before they shut us down. I bought a house.
Wow.
And here I sit in my house now talking to you. So that was a quick synopsis of what I've been through. I left out a lot, but not important. I kept most of the important parts. I put most of the important parts in. So, but here
Well,
I sit.
let's go back to Matt, because you kind of leaving out a little bit. You touched on it. about your football career at New Bedford High.
I
And
figured we were going to go back to that. That's why I just touched on it a little bit.
because folks, this is going to be shown all over. They don't know how good New Bedford High was for a period of time.
It
And maybe you
was.
can enlighten the viewers just how good you all were.
I mean, at the end of '94, we were ranked. I want to say 17 in the country. Little
Mhm.
old New Bedford. And as a matter of fact, we just passed the 30-year anniversary. I believe it was a couple days ago. 30-year anniversary of our second Super Bowl. That was our undefeated season back in '94. We went undefeated and won the Division 1A championship. We beat I want to say it was Peabody in the Super Bowl, December of '94.
Wow.
So we just made 30 years, and after that year, we were nationally ranked. Little old New Bedford was one of the top 25 schools in the country. I
I'm,
mean, we were loaded. We were. And we listen. We talk with all the guys that came before me, the Ramon Silvers and my cousin Richie Ribeiro, the guys that were on a particular team, the 1990 team that was pretty good. That us, the guys who were on the '93 and '94 team, looked up to. We had one guy in our first Super Bowl who was pretty bad. Chris Gomes. He played on another good team back in 1990, and they were a team to be reckoned with too. And you can go back to '86 with them guys when they lost in the Super Bowl to Lincoln Sudbury. We remember all that stuff. That's what made us that made us like we didn't want that feeling. We didn't want to lose, and we didn't. And it was big. It was big because in that second Super Bowl we lost probably the firecracker of our team, Sharik. Whose
ooh.
whose birthday is today? Happy birthday, Sharik.
And of course,
Yeah,
Big Daddy Reggie Victor, we got to give him a shout out as well. We
yeah,
got
yeah. So yeah, that team was pretty loaded. But actually, the quiet as kept, our '93 team might have been better, offensive line wise, because we had the Autogram Award winner on our team in '93 when we won our first Super Bowl, Chris Gomes. Chris Gomes was a bad football player. I don't have to even talk about the legacy of the Gomes family when it comes to the high school football because there's a bunch of them. It was the three sons and the father. They were bad. Kind of they were up there with family like the Walshes. Got to give Pat Walsh his credit. He kept a lot of us on the straight and narrow, and it trickles all the way down to one of my two youngest brothers, who both hung with Walshes. It's crazy. So you definitely got to give them their props. Coach Ham, Coach Seed, Coach O, great guy. Mike Oliveira, great guy. Just ran into him a couple weeks ago at one of the high school football games. He kept the core of that group rounded because there was a couple times where we the wheels almost fell off, and Coach O brought us all back in. I won't get into them stories, but he brought us all back in because he's a good guy. Some of his ways and means were just needed just at the right time. He would come and you and you, let's go, and we'd go for a walk around that field, and he would let us know about ourselves. And it was one of the best things ever because he brought us back down to earth. Because believe me, we were floating for a while. We were on top of the world. We could do no wrong. We were undefeated. We were like 6 or 7-0, and nobody could tell us anything.
let the viewers know about some of the players that you play with.
Oh God, my God, some of the best ever to grace the high school field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's start off at the top of the food chain. JoJo Goodine,
Yes.
coach for the high school now. Just got done with his son's senior year. It was a tough year, but they showed up every week, which was the most important thing. Rudy Boga, a quarterback. How many people seen a quarterback like Rudy? Big arm, strong, run you over, crazy. Another great running back. We already mentioned him, Sharik, Sharik Mendes. You would never think about looking at him. He's one of the smallest guys on the field. He'd probably hit you the hardest on the field, and he'll let you know. And he left no stone unturned because he did it to many people in practice. Tion Pina,
Ooh.
three-way sport player, basketball, volleyball, and football. Can't leave him out. I'm gonna give some of the younger guys some credit. We had one of the Goodines, younger Goodine, TJ, Tyrone Goodine,
Mhm.
Maki DeBrito, head coach of the high school football team. Now he was there for them teams, and they went on to another Super Bowl or two after we left. Trying to think. Of course, I got to give all my linemen their shout outs.
Okay.
You know, Chris Umbalina, um, Chris Betancourt, Greg Seguin, Heath Houston. I can't remember his name. His name was Jack. His mom was a teacher at the high school. This boy was about 6'6". Just didn't really know football, but he knew 100 miles an hour, and that's all we needed. I mentioned obviously Chris Combs, his little brother Sean. Um, Shoot, we had a Jai Clock. Couldn't forget him. Barry Sudo.
Ooh.
Barry Sudo was a hell of an athlete. Barry Sudo was up there with the Jeff Correas, the Fufus of the Dana and Dale. He's up there with them, like athletes upon athletes, man. And I got to give a shout out, like I already did to them. You know, them older guys were mentors. And another a big one that I want to give a shout out to back, and he was about 10 years before me. Stephen Wynn. Stephen Wynn was always in our ear. Always in our ear. I got to give it to him. Billy Ash, all a couple Flea, all the older guys, man. If I missed you, I'm sorry. It wasn't purposely. It's just there's so many names, but you know, it was. I always said it was a village that raised us, man, and it really was. We was all over the place, and we got nothing but love and a lot of life lessons to a lot of the guys that I mentioned. You know, my dad, you know, my older brothers, you know, them older cousins. Big shout out to my cousin Richie, who I played with for 2 years, and it was great. Uh, Another one, my still friends to this day, '93 team. My boy Brian Cardoza, another one that I played with for a while, and still good friends till this day. You know, football forged a lot of things in my life, friendships, discipline. You know, it's just it all leads back to it. You know, me myself, I coached for about a good 10, 15, almost 20 years with the youth. I've coached basketball, of course, football, even helped with baseball one year. Didn't matter. Just to give back is just it's an undescribable feeling. So it just it's done its justice. You know, did I go make millions off of it? No, but you know, I know I've touched a lot of lives through it. Till this day, I still have kids coming over to me and thanking me for coaching. You know, driving them to games. You know, it's what you do. You know, Mike, you've been there.
That's what it's all about. Now, when
Yeah.
you look back on your high school playing years, what is your biggest and fondest memory?
Hmm. My biggest and fondest memory, honestly, was my junior year. Not to discredit anything else, but we went up to Plymouth. I want to say late on in the season, and we lost that game. It's my only loss the last 2 years of high school, and Plymouth gave it to us. Like there was some. I hate to say it, but there was a lot of negative words used on that field that we didn't like, and they beat us, and. So
Ooh.
we thought the season was over, and then we went and we finished and we won the rest of our regular season games, Brockton, Durfee, and I believe there was one more after that, but I'm not sure. So we get the word that we are going to the Super Bowl, and lo and behold, we're playing Plymouth again.
Oh, 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 oh.
Rematch, and I'll never forget it. I want to say the first play of the game was a turnover, and Plymouth got the ball deep in our territory, and it was like deja vu all over again. But I think for some reason we all looked at each other and was like, nah, not again. And I believe we ended up beating them by like 30 points. We demolished them like we should have did the first time. So that's high up on my list because that was a payback game because we went up to Plymouth and like I said, there was just some choice words that we didn't like that was thrown at us. And it was just like, okay, we hope we see you again. Maybe next year we'll see you again, but we hope we see you again. And when we got that phone call and coach came into and told us that we were playing Plymouth in a rematch for the Super Bowl,
Ah, ah,
Christmas had come early that year. We'll just say that it had come real early, and we were very happy that we were playing Plymouth again, and it showed on the field. So that day will forever live in my memory with, and it's up there, going into the Hall of Fame, and of course the birth of my kids are up there, and but yeah, that was one of the best days ever, especially the way we did it to them because there was no question who the better team was after that game was over. That was fun.
now you was bestowed a tremendous honor, making the Hall of Fame at New Bedford High School.
Yes.
Um, what was your experience as far as when you got to go make that speech? What did you think about when you were making that speech?
Hmm. To be honest, I I wanted to get it over as quick as possible. I'm not a big speech person in front of whether it's 30 people or 3,000 people. So it was me. I just wanted to keep it short, sweet, and that's what I was really thinking about. I wanted to thank the people who I needed to be thanked, and hopefully not forget anybody and get the hell off the stage. To be honest with you, that's what I wanted. I am not a big speech person. Like if I'm sitting here and everybody's like, "Oh, dude, imagine everybody naked," that's one of the stupidest things in the world to me because that's not what I want to imagine. I just want to do what I got to do and get the hell off the stage. That's what it was. And then it was a double whammy because you had to go up on stage and then you had an interview with the news station that was there. It was just like, or the radio station or whatever it was. So it was like, my God, here we go again. Now I got to do it all over again. So yeah, it was my fondest memory of that is my son sat on my lap. My twin boy sat on my lap and ran around the whole time. He never sat still at that age. So that was, he probably was like 2 or 3 years old and he just would not sit still. But it was typical him, typical fashion.
Now, what I was thinking about is you play with a lot of great players. Can you talk about some of the players you played with and maybe before you that, because New Bedford High had such a tremendous tradition. And I know you go back in the day a little bit, while we got an opportunity, here, I wish you could probably let the viewers know because New Bedford High, football wise and basketball wise, we can get into that too if you want. But football wise,
Yeah. Oh my. Oh my God! It was just it's crazy. There was a core group of guys that even guys before us that I'm like I said I'm friends with till this day. Like Jeff Correa, who everybody knows as Fufu, was like I'm not gonna say he was the hand that stirred the Kool-Aid. We played tag from about 8, 9 years old, and we were out the other night, and I forgot who it was. One of us tagged, the other one was like, "Tag, you're it." And then there was a movie that came out called Tag, and we were mad. Like, yeah, we could have made this movie because we literally ran around from North End to South End from young ages, from junior high all the way through high school. Before any of us had a car or a license, we would walk everywhere. I mean, we'd walk to the beach, we'd walk down to Monty's, we'd walk up the North End. If there was something happening and we were together, we were walking. We'd walk to each other's houses. We'd do whatever it took to get where we needed to go. And in the midst of that, we'd be playing tag, and everybody would go home, and nobody would know who was it. You had me, Jeffrey, yeah, Derek Consatio, another guy who I'm still really good friends with, my brother Sharik, the Goodines. Just you could imagine just all the people that were in that game, and we played tag for years, and you really never knew who was it. But it's just like we talk about basketball and football, but we can talk about other things, man. Like we really like our baseball team was crazy, and
oh,
that was and that was Rudy and them. Rudy was on that baseball team. We had a bunch of great athletes that were on that team. um, our basketball team, well, like I said, like they're intertwined with when you had the Dwayne Ramoses of the world, the David Bennett's, the oh my God, who else was on that team? Marcus, Jeff Clark, JoJo, Rudy, Tion, just to name a few, just on the basketball team. And then we had a missing piece that was with us when we were younger. That when we were first honing our skills, we brought him up before. Demar Langford. Demar
yes.
was he was in the high school freshman year, and then they moved to Worcester. And believe me, if I mean, if Demar was on that team, we probably would have won 3 or 4 state championships in a row because it was bananas. Because Demar was a hell of an athlete himself.
Yeah.
He played football with us for a little while. Hell, Marcus played football. Our junior year, we had all 3 middle schools together. We had Mandan, Roosevelt, and Keith were all one team. There were so many players we had to split up. It was a red team and a white team. They don't want me to bring this story up because this is a story that lives on in infamy. The red team and white team. We each played 4 games, 2 home games, 2 road games, and then we played each other at the end of the season under the lights. They say we cheated. I doubt it. We still won. The white team beat the red team. I believe it was 21-20. And that's what basically started us off over there because all the players that I named pretty much were on that field. And I'm so sorry. And they're probably cursing me if they're listening right now. The Kirby twins. Got to give them their love. I've known Brian and Jason Kirby since we were like 5, way back when we were in kindergarten at Parker School. I
Mhm.
can't believe I didn't mention them, and I apologize, but I got to give them their props too. I think I didn't mention him was Jose Torrado, another guy who was on our team. The Woodburys, God rest Ryan's soul. Ryan and Richie. We had what we called the Black Shirts. We had our kickoff team, fierce kickoff team. Came downfield, and Richie Woodbury would run through anybody and everybody in his way and would make some of the biggest hits you've ever seen in your life, and it was ridiculous. It was crazy. It was crazy. We used to call it the hit squad. And it was a kickoff team. And if you were on that team, everybody had a black t-shirt. And some people got kicked off and some people came back. But if you didn't do your job, you was getting kicked off. That was fabulous. Even the track team was great with the Bert Okadas of the world, and it was a time in that high school where I believe in like the span of 2 years, there was 8 or 9 state championships. Two for football, 2 for basketball. I want to say 3 for volleyball and baseball. The track team, even the girls' sports was crazy. It was nuts. Some of the females we had in there: Shailene Gonzalez,
Mhm.
uh, um, Katie Toomey, Janelle Ferguson. I mean, it was crazy. Like I don't think that any time in that high school were the sports that exciting. And this is not dissing anybody else, and I don't know because it was my time, but I can't recall a time. And I'm a history buff where you had that many championships in that span of time. There was so many different teams. It was ridiculous. It was like the Coach Gardners of the world and Coach Seed, who was the coach for the baseball team. I forget who the volleyball coach was. Even the soccer team was really good.
Tomasito?
Macedo, I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. And it was crazy. And it's funny to go to a high school game now and you see our coaches on the field. You still see Coach Ham. You still see
Yeah.
Seed. You still see my guy Harry Lowe. It's my guy, man. Harry Lowe is.
Uh, Now, since we brought up the coaches, talk about your coaches.
Listen, this is not a knock against them, but it really wasn't that. I think it was more them keeping us in line
Hmm.
than them. And I'm not saying they didn't coach us because of course they did. I'm not. This is not knocking them, but when you have all that talent at one time, it makes a lot of people's job easier. We'll just put it that way. And this is not a knock against them, and I'm not doing that. So please don't take it that way. It's just that we had a very, very, very talented team, and it just all they needed to do was keep our heads level, and we took care of the rest. And I hope that nobody's offended by me saying that because I do give them their props though, because there was certain coaches that were better off handling us than others, and Coach Ham was great. Like I'm not taking nothing away from him. It's what we did. It's not going anyways. It's there, and we were a really good team, and that's just all of it. But there were other good teams that I can give their props to because, like I said, the year after we won, they went to the Super Bowl the next year, and they lost like 19 or 20 starters, but they regrouped and went back to the Super Bowl next year, the very next year. So that tells you a lot that we did have good coaches, so they had to with the 93 and 94 team, it was a little more, we knew what we could do and we just had to stay focused, and that's what they did for us. Stay focused. They gave us our offense. We knew the offense like the back of our hands. and then they had to keep us focused, and that's what they did. And it was a wonderful time in that high school. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world. And especially the biggest thing, it wasn't even just us watching well, no, you're not really watching yourself, but not our accomplishments. It was enjoying going to sit in the stands watching the basketball team do it, going to volleyball games, going to hockey games, going to baseball games, and watching them all do their thing. It was great because it was just a different atmosphere at that time, and it was fabulous.
Now, let me ask you a question. How was it? I already know about how the basketball was, but how was it for the football team to go against their rival, if there was a rival in Durfee? How was that football wise?
uh it was fun, but to me, Durfee wasn't really much of a challenge. Brockton was. Brockton was our real rivals in my eyes. Like legacy wise and time wise, obviously it's Durfee. Because when I was in high school, we played in the 100th game against Durfee,
Wow.
and but to me, like, and I hate to say it, like it was a better matchup in basketball, but in football, they wasn't on our level at that time. There wasn't. But basketball, they were. They had Chris Herron and a couple other guys, and they were really good, obviously. But even then, we still beat them. But anyways, but no, in football wasn't really a comparison. Now Brockton was, yeah, Brockton. The Brockton game is probably 1B as opposed to the Super Bowl my junior year. But Brockton my senior year was a great game. There's some guys from that Brockton team that I still talk to this day. Like I've ran into, and we've talked, and we sit there and we're like, yo, and that was, I believe, if I'm correct, it was called the game of the century in high school football in Massachusetts. That was a
Ooh,
hell of a game. And they were beating us 28-26 at the half in Brockton. I mean, you had I think Marvin Hagler was at that game, Roger Clemens. There was a few big people who were at that game, yeah, because it was big time. I think we were both 9-0, 10-0 at the time. I think we were both undefeated, or they had one loss and we were undefeated, and we were coming into their territory. That was, if anybody who knows, if you ever been to Brockton and you played football and you had to go in that stadium, you came in underneath their bleachers, the home bleachers.
huh.
So we were getting spit on, bottles were getting thrown at us, and I remember, I think there was a write up in the paper for this one. I think it was me, and I know it was me. I basically told the coaches they couldn't come in the locker room. And anybody who didn't want to play, don't come in my locker room, because if you ain't ready to go on that field and die, I hate to put it that way because there's been a lot of deaths around here, but those were my words, and I'm just quoting myself.
Mhm.
Don't come in this locker room, because there was a lot of people who were, I hate to say it, were a little bit nervous going into Brockton, and not us, not the main core of that team. No, we were ready to get it in, and they were beating us, and we did not feel comfortable with that. So, now needless to say, we won. I think it was 40-28, and we pulled it out. But Brockton was a hell of a team that year. Their running back Peter Harris was
Ooh, yeah.
something to talk about. The boy was something to talk about. He was a bad boy. They had I want to say Bursey was their receiver. Another one. They had Shreve and another guy who played line, and LaFontaine, I think, was another lineman who played in there. They were good. They were formidable. I think they were the best team we played all year. And then we went to the Super Bowl and played another undefeated team, Peabody. They were pretty good too. I got to give them their props. So we like that. My senior year, I think, was the toughest schedule New Bedford High has ever played. And there was a lot of teams. We played, I want to say we played another team from Connecticut, Central Catholic something, and their running back, I believe, was called the Howitzer. This boy was about 6'2", about 260.
Ooh.
Big boy, especially for high school. Big boy. But as soon as we hit him a couple times, he folded like that $9 tent from Walmart. He was done. He was done. Another I got to give a shout out to was, I want to say, was it St. John's, and that's when they had Conrad and another kid. And Conrad. Conrad went and played about 8-9 years in the NFL.
Mhm.
He was good. And to give you a quick story about that, we ended up befriending one of the Giants. He was playing for UCLA, Sean Williams got drafted in the early 2000s. Good friend of Fufu, Sharik, and a bunch of them. Became a good friends. So we ended up going to a bunch of Giants games, and we seen Con. We met Conrad in the locker room. He remembered us. First thing he said, I didn't believe it until I saw it. They said they knew you. And the first person he wanted to talk to was Sharik.
Uh,
I was like I said, Sharik being the smallest, he packed the biggest punch out of pretty much everybody pound for pound. He would lay you out, whether if you was 100 pounds more than him or his size. You can ask a few of our opponents. They remember him. They're like, man, I've never been hit like that before in my life. I don't think I've ever been hit like that again. Was Conrad's words, and this was in high school. So we played against some formidable opponents, and we beat them. There should have been a lot more noise from that team, but there wasn't, and that's life. You had a few guys go on, like Rudy going to URI. JoJo went. I forgot where JoJo went. JoJo went somewhere.
UConn for a minute?
Huh?
Didn't he go to UConn for a minute?
I think he might have. I forgot. He
I
went
think.
somewheres, and then he came back, and then he went somewhere else. I want to say it was in New Hampshire. It's another day, another story.
I,
Dragging up old stuff, but high school wise, yeah, it was a fun time. It was a real fun time. It was great.
it's to me it's amazing because to have that type of I don't know, man, hold on the area with every single sport: volleyball, baseball, basketball, football, damn track,
Yeah,
damn, all in one school.
yeah.
That's a, that,
It,
that's
it,
that's an,
it, it was memorable, boy. I remember that. That's how that T-shirt came about. New Bedford High, home of champions. T-shirts, sweatshirts, bumper stickers. It was everywhere because for a while there, we would just. It was crazy. That class of athletes is up there, and then there's a few other classes. I'm not going to sit there and say it's the best, but I know we're at the top of the food chain. I know that. That's all I'm going to say because this is an argument that'll last forever.
oh, you know
About
that.
who was better and this that.
Oh, he's out there. I think we might have dropped him for a minute. But anyway, I was going to ask him when he comes back on. First of all, I'm honored that he came on the show. But folks, can you imagine that? One high school during a 2-year period where they won back-to-back football, back-to-back basketball, track and field, volleyball, baseball, all in that same time frame at one school. To me, that is absolutely is incredible. And I got to give a big shout out to New Bedford. New Bedford High. I went to Bishop Stang, and we never had anything close to that. You know what I mean? So I was kind of envious, because New Bedford High had everything. You know what I mean? They had a lot of the majority of the athletes, and what was very important to me, and as you will see if he comes back on, these guys have still remained close friends, and you see them out all the time. You got Fufu and you got Flea, and these guys are really, believe me, these guys are tight, and they're very close, and it's a privilege to know these guys and see these guys, and hey, when they get together and they have one, well, I've been in their presence, and they go at it. I mean, these guys know the game, they know each other very well, and you guys should be able to have the opportunity to watch these guys as they kick it, and they kick it real. You know what I mean? They have a ball, and they know what they're talking about, and it's very enjoyable as well. Again, Big Kev, he didn't tell you, Kev's a big man, and to be recognized by New Bedford and making it into the Hall of Fame is a very special honor and something that isn't taken lightly because of all the great athletes that they have come through New Bedford High School. And to me, I think it's a privilege to be, knowing these guys. Kev, I was just talking about how you guys all still remain so damn close.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm sorry that I had a misconnection. It's
No problem.
yeah. Yeah, there's that bond will never be broken with the majority of us. We couldn't see each other for months, years, and when we get back together, for instance, Jai moved to Florida for a while, and he's back up in this area. And we never missed a beat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Still my guy. I can see there's guys I haven't seen in eons, and we usually bump into each other around this time of year, and we get right back into it like it was yesterday, man. It's just it's a bond that'll never be broken because you know what they say about success. Success breeds, it breeds friendships, it breeds memories. It just it's a wealth of just a bunch of good stuff, man. It's just you can't beat it. It's great.
Now, before we go into my realm, which is, of course, NBA. Before we go into that, though, you already know. But before we go into that, is there anything that maybe I didn't ask you, or maybe something you want to bring up, or any big shout outs you want to give out, or anything of that nature? Because I don't want you to go back, man, Mike should have asked me that. How come he didn't ask me this? I want you to.
Nah, nah. I mean, listen, man. It's to me, it's just it was just such a wonderful time, and I believe we touched on everything. I don't think anything else was really like we left anything out to like purposely or whatever. But you know, I think it everything is good. Like
Okay, cool.
we touched on everything.
Because I wanted to give you your flowers. That's the reason why. You know what I mean? I wanted to
No,
make
I
sure.
appreciate that. I
Uh,
appreciate that. And listen, man, like I said, I don't know if we missed anything. And if we did, there's always another invite. Hey, Kev, we want to talk about this. And
oh,
believe me, I'll come back on.
you always
And hopefully next time when I do come on, I can bring some friends.
absolutely, absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
so it's
And
if
maybe
that's
tomorrow, maybe bring your boy Demond. No
yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. That's definite, man. That's my guy, man. That's all just a phone call, Especially if we're gonna start talking NBA and even some NFL. That's great. That's
Oh,
okay by me.
all right, cool. Well, we can do a little NFL. I mean, that's not my domain, but we can. What is
No,
your?
listen. I'm well versed in either one. We can do basketball. We can do NBA. We can do. I mean, we can do NFL. We can do whatever.
I know, but I wanted to touch on the football tip. What is your biggest surprise, and what is your biggest disappointment thus far in the NFL?
As you can see, you saw on my shirt, and Mike, I'm a Cowboy fan, but I hold no punches towards them, man. Like if people are clowning, it's well deserved. So, everybody thinks it's going to be the obvious choice is not the Cowboys. My biggest surprise is actually the 49ers. Like
Hmm.
and I understood you lost McCaffrey and everything. I understood that to a
Hmm.
certain extent, but at the same time, it's just like that defense is still supposed to be there. It's. I just can't put my finger on it with them, and it's painful that to watch them because out of anything first, I'm a fan first
Right.
of the game, whether it be basketball, whether it be football. So I can sit there and watch from a youth game all the way up to obviously the pros. And one of my biggest things is my guy Paul Reese. We used to go watch other football teams just to go watch them. Not even because it was necessarily scouting. It was just because we wanted to go watch, see a coaching style, see what was going on. As a coach, you got to look at things in a different aspect than an athlete. So I see it from two different lenses, and it's just I can't put my finger on it. It's sad. And to me, I don't think Kansas City is as tough as everybody thinks they are. They know how to win games, but that's going to come back to bite them in the behind real soon. Like I could see them making an early exit out of the playoffs. Everybody's like, "Oh no, they're going to win three in a row." Huh? Winning three in a row is tough.
It's
I
very
don't know
tough.
about that. I just don't know. But yeah, my biggest surprise would have to be the 49ers out of anybody. I can't really think of anybody else. I knew the Lions were going to be good, and I think they're the best team in football. To be honest with you, like I would even put I hate to say it, the Eagles up there. The Eagles just seem to be coming along. They just keep finding their stride, and they got that boy called Barkley over there, man. That's a
Ooh,
bad boy.
ooh.
He might have been their missing piece. He might be going there that they can go in there and just wear teams down with their run because they got a good line. The game is won and lost in the trenches, man. That's where it starts in football. It's one loss in them trenches. You can control that line of scrimmage, you got a good chance of winning the game.
Right, and also what the troubles that they had at the beginning of the year with their coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Yeah, their coach is just. I think sometimes he's his own worst enemy, man. Just let your team play, man. Just let them do their thing. Believe me, they're there to do it.
Now,
They
I
do.
want to be ownership of the Dallas Cowboys. What
Ah.
I asked the question, though, what could or what I mean,
the biggest, the
what can you
biggest, the
to make your
biggest thing. Jerry Jones, he needs to take more of the Bob Crap approach. Stay the hell out the way.
I
Put
agree
your
with you on that.
people, put them people in place, and let them run your team, and shut up and be a billionaire. Just shut up and be a billionaire. That's all you got to do.
Ain't
Get
nothing
out the
wrong
way.
with that.
You're not the best GM in the world, and somehow, some way, he's under this illusion that he is. You're not. Just get out the way and let them boys do their thing. Personally, I'm not signing Dak for 260 million. I'm not. I'm just not. There's other ways to spend that money. I'm sorry. There's just there are other ways, and this is not a knock against Dak because it's what the market calls for. Because if you look at it, the boy from Jacksonville got his money. The kid Love got his money. Tua got his money, who should probably be retired right now from all concussions. But I don't want to go off the beaten path here. We're talking about Dallas, but to me, I'm just not. I'm not signing Dak to that money. Like, and like. I hate to say it again, like Brady. Brady took less money at one point in time to get a team around him to be competitive, you know. So now looking at all that, like you take between Lamb, Dak, and now if they sign Parsons, it's going to be
Mhm.
50% of the payroll. How are you going to field the team around them? So things might go from bad to worse before it gets better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how are you fielding the team? Because right now, Hoskins is backing up the Brinks truck right now to say, what you giving me? and Jerry Jones, being who he is going to give him what he wants. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to field the team around it. You talk about cap friendly contracts. You look back over at Mahomes. He signed that deal years ago. It was, what, 10 years, 500 million or whatever the hell it was, a half a billion, and it's a team friendly deal right now because they can still go out and sign people. Now you got Dak handcuffing the team. CD Lamb just signed a bunch of money. Like, to me, it's just bad business over there, and it starts at the top. JJ himself, he's more worried about his brand being the most lucrative franchise in all of sports than he is to winning championships. It's just clear cut and dry. There's no other way around it. And then you have suckers like us, like me, this guy right here, who still support the team because I don't give a shit. Yeah.
I know Dallas is in a tough situation. What
Yeah.
is your take on Mike Thompson and the way that the Steelers are playing right now?
Mike
Because he
Tomlin.
was getting a lot. They were trying to run him out of town at
Mike
the beginning of
Tomlin.
the
I
year.
don't know how you run a boy out of town that's never had a losing season.
No, I know.
Point blank, fucking period. Like you never had a losing season, and he's a leader of men. Like there's not too many like him. Like his voice, his demeanor, bad
Hmm.
boy, man. Like you know what I'm saying. Like I can't even hate on him. Like you got to give props where they're due, and he deserves all the flowers he's getting. Cause listen, like don't count the Steelers out. They got a good team. Russell Westbrook's over there playing his behind off.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson, excuse me. Russell Wilson is over there playing his behind off, and what can you do right now? And they got a defense. So defense wins championships. That defense, if it continues to play the way it does, they got a chance of beating anybody, man, bar none. And they can get into a shootout. You seen they just had a shootout with Cincinnati the other day, so they can score. You need that one stop, and that's it. And that's all she wrote.
yeah. They're proving a lot of people wrong because
They sure are.
especially with the long ball. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was a big thing on that as well.
yeah.
So
Yep.
my take is, you know, I'm kind of surprised at how the Ravens, they started off real well. I think there were a lot of high expectations on them. But then again, sometimes I'm wondering, are they utilizing all their talent the right way? I'm asking you that.
Um, I don't know if you watched what he said the other day because I was screaming at him in the game when they played Philly the other day. There was
Uh-huh.
so many times where he could have ran the ball, talking about Lamar Jackson,
Right.
and he didn't. And it just seems like he's hesitant. And it started last year when they played the Chiefs. There was times where I felt he should have ran, and he didn't. He's sitting in the pocket, sitting and waiting for his receivers to run through their routes and get open. sometimes you don't have time for that, man. You just got to tuck and go, man. There's times where you can do that, and then there's times where you can't. And listen, this is the Lamar Jackson we know for you to tuck and run. He's Michael Vick 2.0. Like we want to see you do that, so do it. Don't
Mhm.
sit there and hold the ball and pat it, hoping that this one and that one's going to get open. And when you can get 20 yards, like that's one of the best things of football. Like and football, it's been changing to that. These mobile quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket, man. You got Kyler Murray for Arizona. You got obviously Lamar Jackson. You even got a dude from Philly. What's his face? He's mobile. He can run. Like and I know I'm missing a few. But like. I don't mind that if it's like but don't wait 10 seconds and then all of a sudden you're running for your life. That's one of the worst things to me. Either you're gonna throw it out of bounds or tuck it and run, and he needs to do that more decisively. Yeah, or Baltimore is going to just do what's going to happen to them is what's going to happen, like what happened against Philly. You're going to be sitting there wondering, like, what if? Just do it. Like, and if I was Harbaugh, I would tell him, look, listen, tuck and run. Like, there's no other way around it. And then when you get them leads, that's when you get that home run hitter over there, boy. You got Derrick Henry, and just
Yeah.
him run people down, just lean on them. That's all you got to do. That's basically what a heavyweight does. He'll beat you up for 4 or 5 rounds, and in them championship rounds, he's taking you out. That's all he's doing, and that should be their formula. They don't seem to be when they win games, they do that, but then when they
Mhm.
lose games, it seems like they lose their identity. As I thought Baltimore was one of the better teams in the league, and if they don't follow that blueprint, they're going home early too. I hate to say it, man. And some of my favorite players came through Baltimore: Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. I'm a big U guy, so. But I can see them going home early if they don't do that. And Lamar's a bad boy. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
he's come a long way. I commend him for trying to be that pocket quarterback, but it's not totally you, Lamar. You're a 60-40 pocket quarterback. You're a 60 running, 40 pocket quarterback, and keep that identity, and you'll be fine. But other than that, like, shit, you got to talk about them Lions, man. They got that two-headed monster running back.
And the way he played last night, I mean, you got.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I got two Lions fans that are in my ear all the time. Kyle
I
Paris
already know.
and B Con.
Yeah, you know it.
And I got one that I'm happy for, who's hopefully he's dancing around upstairs and happy for his Lions because the last time they were this good was in the '90s, boy. I mean they've been on the doorstep a couple times in the last couple years, but this year if everything goes right, they get all the breaks they need, and they could be holding that trophy at the end of the year. They're one of the teams that are up there. Them boys are bad.
Now, would you? Another question. I'm gonna go off to another. Would you sign Purdy, given the fact that if he's going to get that 50 or more, 50 or north, that's going to probably ruin their chances of getting anybody else because they're paying all this money to the quarterback and they're already paying everybody else. So you, as a general manager or as a owner, what would you do with Purdy? Because right
Obviously,
now,
they're going to sign him because that's what the market calls for. I can't really see them letting him go and going another. You've seen what happened when he didn't play the week before.
right?
They look terrible. I mean, their backup was, you could just see it. He wasn't ready, and they're more formidable with Purdy. But like, it goes back to like what the Cowboys just did. Like, you're really going to handicap your team because somebody will pick him up. Somebody's going to sign him for that. And he's up there in that 55 to $60 million range. Like hell, you had Love get it, and Love he played what 10 good games. Because
Right.
last year in Green Bay, like they didn't start off too well, and then they got hot,
Mm-hmm.
and then the following year, early on in the year, Love got paid for 75% of a season. Like that was crazy to me. I was like, you're gonna sign this kid for all this money? Like really? And they did. And even with Tua, Tua's another one. Like I don't know if I could have signed him for all that money with all them concussions, man. He's a concussion away from just being like and I hate to say it, like a quadriplegic or something. Like some of the hits that he's taken and like the contortions of his body just freezing like that is crazy, man. I don't know. They say he's fine, but that has to take a toll on you, man. And all them concussions, and it's you had look at Trevor Lawrence. Look at the money he signed.
Uh, that is
What?
crazy. And
San Francisco's been what to the MC Championship? What, like three out of 4 years, whatever it's been. So and Brock Purdy's been their quarterback. So at least he has like a somewhat of a resume to be like, hey, I went to the NFC Championship and a Super Bowl. What's going to happen here? I deserve my money. None of them other guys have that resume Brock Purdy had, including Dak. Dak's terrible when it comes to the playoffs. So
right.
so why wouldn't they sign Brock Purdy? He has a better resume than everybody I just named.
And some Kev, everyone, I'm sure who's tuning in uh, can respect your opinion, your knowledge. So I
Yeah.
gotta ask when I really don't. But what about Aaron Rodgers, man? What do you do? I'm just going. Go ahead, man.
I,
What?
I I don't know. Like it's kind of like you can give somebody every piece of wood, every piece of shingles, just all the tools to build a house, and they still manage to build. It's just that doesn't equate to me. It's just me personally, and I've heard a couple of Jets fans. I got a lot of Jets fans that I'm cool with. Didn't want him because he's in that prima donna role, man. He just wants everything laid out for him, man. Like, and it's like you get Devontae Adams back. You got the other cat over there, the receiver. You got Hall for a running back. You got they had like a formidable defense that they re-upped with this year. They grabbed what's his face from Philly, and you guys still just they can't get out of their own way. It's terrible. Like it's and he's saying talking about sticking around. I don't know if you've seen the report talking about I just renovated my house. I'm not going anywhere. Like that's
Right.
crazy. I would be trying to get away from him by any means necessary. Like he's not the right fit. Like you get their coach gets fired and they still suck. Like like it's kind of like the Giants when they got rid of what's his face Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones wasn't the problem. Like,
No.
yeah, he's not the best quarterback in the world, but he wasn't the problem. Like, you guys are like, I don't know if it's a New York thing. I hate to stick it to them, but you had your best player drop the ball in the World Series. That would have. I don't know if this New York is just cursed right now.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm not a Rogers guy. When you want 4 days of darkness and do all this, and no, you're just, bro, you're here to play football. Well, we don't want to hear nothing else. And you're on the Pat McAfee show every day, and it's another one. That's another thing I forgot to bring up, like the Parsons with that damn podcast. Oh, if and not everybody's a podcaster, and you want to interview everybody and you want to be cool with everybody. I don't like the camaraderie of today's players. We can be friends off season, but during season, don't talk to me because you're my enemy. You're trying to. We're competing for the same thing. I just don't understand these new age athletes. It's too
I
many too
don't
many friendly people. I don't like that. We can be friends after we retire.
exactly. I hear you. I agree with that wholeheartedly on that one.
Mm.
We only got about 5 minutes, man. We could talk for like 8 hours, but I mean,
Yeah, we
you
got to
know,
get into a little bit about basketball, man. Come on, man.
I'm gonna get. Know why I'm doing this? Because I want you on the end. I want you on.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
You know
Uh,
what I
that-
mean?
that- so what do you think about the basketball season, though? What do you think about it?
I think, to be totally honest with you, I'm very disappointed, and I'll go into detail later on. But I don't like the fact that there are so many damn injuries. Number one, I called that before the season began. That's number one. The load management, number two, and the thing that really upsets me more than anything else is the damn 3-point shot.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sorry, I'm old school. I'm OG. You already know who I am.
Yeah.
And
No, I'm
they
with
had,
you. Listen, I was
on,
raised by that school. I'm raised by that old school, so I
right?
know. Mm.
They had a video on. I think I posted it too. There
Yeah.
was a
Yep.
stretch, Kevin,
Yep.
where nothing but 3-pointers. Nothing.
Analytics is killing the game.
No, something. That was the question I wanted to ask you. What am I going to ask my man? What do you think about analytics?
Oh,
I'm
it's
a,
it's it's
I
it's it's you feed some numbers into something and you get some. It's disgusting to me because there's no way in hell you're going to convince me that team ball and the best shot possible inside the 3-point line doesn't work. There's no more post game. There's no nothing. It's just a bunch of iso ball. I can cross you over better than you just did to me 2 minutes ago on the other end of the court. It's just, and I can jack up all the threes in the world. The classic example of that is that time when Boston tried to break the record a couple of weeks back during the beginning of the season, and they jacked up all them damn threes. I had to turn the damn channel. I was literally nauseous. And listen. When I was younger, I thought I was a basketball player. I moonlight as a basketball player. I love basketball just as much as I love football. So I thought I was it. I thought I was the fat kid who can get on the court, and I had a little bit of handle, and I could run, and I could jump a little bit. I can grab the rim with ease. I was loving it, and and to see what it's turned into now, and everybody talks about how more skilled they are, and this and that. You might be skilled, but it's not showing on the court that you're more skilled. It really not. I'd take 80s, 90s basketball, all even early 2000s, all day over this garbage I'm seeing now. I have to turn off games where I'm looking forward to some games. Some games are good. Like the other night when Cleveland and Boston played, it was a pretty good game.
Good.
It was a good game. Not that when Boston lost in Cleveland, when Cleveland came to Boston, that was a pretty good game. It was a decent game to watch. But some of these games, boy, and then I watched the Lakers game the other night. Oh my God.
But go ahead.
Oh my God. And it's like, and I hate to say it because everybody always talks about he's the GOAT, he's the GOAT, he's the GOAT. I watched LeBron, and I hate to hop on him because listen, I like watching LeBron play as much as everybody. I'm a Jordan guy, and I think Jordan's my GOAT, and this and that, and the other thing. And that's a whole other argument. But to watch him basically give up on a game made me not want to watch him no more. And when LeBron's playing, I want to watch. I want to watch because he's a bad boy. I'm not sitting there like dissing him. I'm not doing it, but he has this attitude where, bro, if you're gonna do that, then just hang it up now. And that's the attitude I have right now with him. And this is not because I don't think he's not a GOAT and he's not this, but when you're at that product of ball where you're just walking around and you have no cares in the world, no defense, no nothing, bro. If I was him, kind of like what Mario Chalmers did to him back when they played for Miami, I'd call his ass out in a heartbeat. I'm telling you right now, I would. I'd be like, yo, what are you doing right now? I couldn't wait to get the films because I don't care who it was. If you had a star of the show, me and Rudy have gotten arguments on the sideline in high school. I've yelled at everybody, like, yo, don't do that if we're not going to do it. And listen, if I was that person and I was like lackadaisical, I want one of my teammates to call me out, piss me off because I'm a better player than call me out all day. It's crazy, man. It's nuts. And like I was happy when the team called out Giannis. A couple of his players had to call his ass out. Like, call him out. Like, yeah, you're the star of this show, bro. But and you notice when they called him out, what happened? They ended up winning like 6 games in a row.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, so it's not a problem, bro. Like, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, like, yo, you're not too big to be called out. Like, we're in this to win championships. We ain't in this just to get paid. We want to have some rings. You know, a lot of teams with a lot of legacies, and you got to uphold them legacies. Like, and sometimes that star of the show got to be called out.
Absolutely.
Shouldn't be a problem with it.
Now, Kev, I did this for a reason because I want you back on, and then we can talk NBA, and
Yes,
then
sir.
we can really get into it because that's my thing. But again, I want to
Definitely.
thank you for coming on my show.
You're
And
welcome. Enjoyed myself, man. I can't believe hours went by. I'm shocked. I'm looking at my clock right now. I'm like, damn, it's been an hour.
I'm telling you, man, so definitely going to have you back, and we're going to do the NBA thing. But again, I want to thank you for coming on my show.
Yes, sir.
And you take care of yourself, my brother.
You too, man. Thank you, Conn. I appreciate you.
You got it, my brother. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, my man. Again, thank you all for coming and joining in on my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man on the Sports Wave Network. Stay tuned. We have another guest. My guest will be none other than the OG from Chicago. He goes by the name of John Reeves. And he's an OG, a veteran. And we're going to talk some Chicago basketball. We're going to talk about some NBA. We're going to get his views about back in the day up until right now, the present landscape of the NBA. We're going to do a lot of that as well. Again, I want to thank my man Kevin Rudolph for coming on. He's well respected in the community. As you guys can see, he's very knowledgeable and he knows what he's talking about. And I will definitely have him back. And we're going to talk strictly NBA. But, I know I wanted to save something for my man OG when he comes on. You guys are going to love him as well. So we're going to come back with my man OG, John Reeves. Again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. You guys can also watch us on Roku TV tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern time. And we got a lot of good shows coming up. We have some very good shows coming up. And I want you guys to tune in. And thank you. And you all have a great night. Take care and God bless.